Over the past 6 months, parishioners of Our Lady of the Cross have noticed some changes to the interior of their church here on Sycamore Street. The repurposing of several prominent items from the former Mater Dolorosa church were made possible through the exhaustive effort and artistry of a lifelong parishioner. Steve KILTONIC has our story.
It's been nearly 7 years since Holyoke's Mater Dolorosa and Holy Cross parishes merged into a new parish, Our Lady of the Cross. When parishes merge, some items are normally taken from the closed church, in this case Mater Dolorosa, and placed in the new parish church, Holy Cross.
And with the Vatican appeal and everything, we weren't allowed to go into the church to take anything out. So as soon as we were able to do that, I formed the committee and we got moving because I knew it was so important for the former Mater Dolorosa parishioners to have something from their church in our new church. And a lot of people felt bad that there was nothing tangible that they could look at.
When members of the Church Enhancement Committee finally entered Mater Dolorosa, they chose the statues most significant to former parishioners.
And right away they said Francis and Anthony, and of course the Pieta, because that's really Our Lady of Sorrows, Our Lady of the Cross.
Historical photos placed the Pieta on the altar during the early days of the church. It's not known exactly when the statues of the saints first appeared, but time had taken its toll on all three Mater Dolorosa statues.
Francis and Anthony, we could see what they were like, so they weren't too bad, but when the Pieta was brought down and we saw how dirty and the peeling paint and the big hole.
The committee commissioned parishioner Sarah Mealy for the restoration work, which included refinishing, cleaning, sanding, and repainting. The committee was impressed with the beautiful murals she created in 2016 for the Pope John Paul II Social Center and the parish's 5th anniversary. The murals, which took Sarah 3 months to finish, depict the exterior of each church in the form of a stained glass window.
They were about 16 feet high, both of them, and 5 or 6 feet wide. That was definitely a project. It was bigger than anything I've ever done before. And, it was new ground to cover, but I was definitely impressed with how it came out.
For the restoration, the statues were brought into the Mater Dolorosa parish offices and former convent, where Sarah did all the work.
Starting out, I was a little intimidated about, redoing these statues that meant so much to everyone.
The Pieta, which once graced the center of the Mater Dolorosa altar, was the most in dire need of repair.
The back was just like dripping with dirt, and it almost looked like oil had been spilt on it. It was a mess. And yeah, it took a whole day to clean. And there was a hole right here it was baseball sized like this, and I had to patch that up. A couple layers of the plastic stuff that I used. Now
what had caused the hole? Something dropped?
We are not sure. But I could see, into the base, which was basically layers of plaster and almost netting, yeah. And the whole inside is hollow, so I could see in there, and I just had to lay the stuff on top, paint over it.
Sarah said she had to reconstruct the tip of one of Christ's fingers and patch Mary's robe, which was peeling.
So this one is St. Anthony, and this one is St. Francis. Most of the patchwork that I had to do was on the hands. I think this one had like a couple busted fingers where I could see, the wire armature underneath. And so I had to patch those up. A lot of paint chipping, especially on St. Francis up here on the head, and almost all of the hands were patched up. The fingers here and the outer part of this hand. And then everything else was pretty good. The whole robe and everything was in good shape.
The back of St. Anthony's robe required extensive refinishing.
Originally the robe actually came down to a point here, but it was made known to me that we should have it, come straight across the back. So what I did was I took off that part and I totally repatched this part right here. There was actually a hole in it about this big. And then I created this sort of webbing that came across the back and rounded the shoulders, sanded it, and repainted that.
Sarah also painted and reconstructed the pedestal bases on St. Anthony and St. Francis. She then matched the colors so the statues would complement each other once placed inside the church. A glaze was then applied to make the statues scratch-resistant. Sarah devoted a whole summer to the project, often working 5 to 6 hours a day. The long hours were well worth it, as parishioners have praised Sarah for her dedication and artistry. Last October, the St. Anthony and St. Francis statues were carefully removed from the former convent and put on a truck for the mile-and-a-half journey through the streets of Holyoke to their final resting place in the church vestibule. This spring, the Pieta was moved and now has a prominent place in the church, resting where the tabernacle once stood. Its new oak base was created by a local craftsman for $2,800, with some money donated by parishioners. The marble base on which the tabernacle stood was moved to the Adoration Chapel. Father Albert is pleased with Sarah's work and hopes that the statues help to heal old wounds.
Like I said, I'm just happy that we can finally have something from the church at Our Lady of the Cross, because so many people have waited so long.
The latest statues to grace Our Lady of the Cross remind parishioners of their unique history and will remain for all to treasure for generations to come. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
Father Albert said in the future, other items from Mater Dolorosa, like the statue of St. Anne and the icon of Our Lady of Czestochowa, may be removed and find new life in either the church or the school building.